So here's my SH150. So I just took off the wheel to replace the tire. So I'm gonna put the tire back on, the wheel back on. But before I do that, every time I take off the wheels on motorcycles with disc brakes, I always clean out the piston. So basically from the from this side over here. And the reason why I do that is because over time everything gets dirty in here. And on motorcycles, the piston, where it comes out, it's not like a car where the piston comes out and there's a rubber boot that protects the piston, so it keeps it clean, so that it could retract and it could go in and out. Well, motorcycles, they don't usually have that. It's just the oil seal and the dust seal. So when the piston itself is exposed and it gets dirty, it can't retract because it's dirty. It's like it gunks up, so it doesn't retract out of the way. And basically what happens when it can't retract fully is that it keeps on rubbing, and it wears out the pads prematurely, and also wears out the disc prematurely. And also, besides that, the pads and the disc will stay hotter while you're operating it. So basically you get brake fade sooner. You overheat your brakes sooner because of that. So, and a great example I have is for my on my Elite. When I bought my Elite back in 2010, I bought it brand new. The first set of brake pads lasted me, I think, like over 25,000 miles, right? After that, every set of brake pads that I put in lasted less and less. It got shorter and shorter until one point where a set of brake pad only lasted me 5,000 miles. I was like, what the hell is going on? 5,000 miles, what the heck? Then I opened it up and I looked inside, and I didn't figure this out until around 45,000 miles. I think that was, by then I was on my third set of brake pads. If the first set lasted over 25, the second set should have lasted up to 50,000 miles, right? Should be done around 50,000 miles. But by then, by 45,000 miles or so, I was already on my third or fourth set of brake pads. So I was like, what the hell is going on? It just got worse and worse mileage. So after that, when I changed the brake pads after that 5,000 miles, I looked at the piston. I was like, holy cow, that thing is dirty like a mofo. So I cleaned it up and everything. And after that, the brake pads lasted a long time again. I mean, it never lasted up to past 25,000 miles anymore. And I think one of the reasons was because when I first had the bike, I was using tires that weren't as grippy, so I couldn't use the brake as hard. So that's why other reason why it lasted longer. But after that, my brake pads lasted like they would last over. I think they lasted like over 15,000 miles. And that's with grippy tires. So always clean your piston when you take it off. And lots of times when you look at it, you're like, oh man, it needs to be replaced. It doesn't even need to be replaced. I had the same Elite I had when I had that thing at 76 or so thousand miles. I replaced the brake pads and I cleaned it. And the piston, it actually, not 76. I think I had probably around 70,000 miles. And I actually had to replace the piston. I had bought new pistons around, I think also around 50,000 miles, because I wasn't sure if the pistons were good. But after I cleaned it, was okay. But I had the extra pistons. I was like, oh, I might as well change the pistons at 70 whatever when I sold it to my friend, so that way he has a fresh new set, so he didn't have to worry about it. And when I changed it, the new piston versus the old piston, they look practically the same, so that it didn't need to be changed. It was still really good. So anyways, so let's clean up the pistons. So for this bike, is this brake here on the SH150 is identical to the Elite 150. So same rotor. Same rotor size. I think it's same rotor size, same pads, same brake pads. The part numbers are the same. So the brakes themselves I believe are the same as well. And they looking at them like just like eyeballing it like this, they look the same as well to me. So you got two cover grub screws. Use a flathead to take them out. Sometimes these things get stuck, and you can't take it off with a flathead. You might have to impact it really quickly with like a little hammer, hammer, and just kind of tap on it to that breaks the thread loose. Especially if it's older and with more miles, with more more weathered, more corrosion. This one is still nice and clean. I'm gonna clean this up. When I put it back, I'm actually gonna put anti-seize on here. That's what I did on my Elite, because as it got older, I actually got this. At one point, I thought I wasn't able to take these grub screws off because it was like so corroded in there. But after that, I did the anti-seize. It worked perfectly fine. No big deal. Take the bucket out of the way. Okay, so underneath that you have I think it's 5mm, I believe. Normally I use my socket wrench, but kind of lazy. Yeah, it's 5mm. Oh shit! Okay, I better get my socket wrench. Give me more leverage. That one did not give me enough leverage. Grab my 6mm too, just in case. Let me see. This is a 6. Nope, it's definitely not a 6. Okay, so it's a 5mm. So these two screws here, or these two bolts, I should say, these are the one that holds the brake pads in place, where the brake pads don't just, you know, they don't just fly out. So now the thread is all out, but still held up because the brake pads, they actually have some springs on the pads, so there's a lot of friction on the axle of this. So I'm gonna push on the brake pads a little bit to release that pressure. So now it just slides right off. And you see how it's all corroded here? It's all rusty. I'm gonna get some sandpaper and put this on a drill and spin it and clean this off in a minute. And that's normal as well. You might have to do that every time too. Okay, same thing with this side. Now it's all rusty in there. And clean it off with a drill bit. I mean a drill with put on a drill and the sandpaper. All right, so now the brake pads so when I pushed it in to relieve that pressure, I just did this. I just with my thumb right here, push right here and push up right here. And this should just pop right up, like so. Make sure you know which side is which. So this side is the throttle side. So I'm gonna place it on the throttle side. This side's gonna be the left hand side. So I'm gonna place it on the left hand side. And now you guys should see the pistons right in there. Got my tools in the way of the camera here. So now I'm basically gonna clean this out. So it's all dirty in there. It's hard to see because it's kind of dark. Because I have a backlighting here, or the sunlight is in the back. So I'm gonna put a bucket right in there to catch the fluids. So I'm using simple green with a toothbrush, old toothbrush. So I'm gonna spray the piston. And actually I'm gonna spray all in here. I'm gonna spray the springs as well. Spray my toothbrush, go in there and just basically brush it. Actually, just that little spray and one little brush, I could see the shininess of the metal already. You guys can see that? See the reflection of the shiny? Just a moment ago, you couldn't see that, right? It was all dull looking, right? So that's what you want. That's when you know it's clean, right? So unfortunately, depending on your toothbrush, if you have one that could reach all sides of the piston or not. And we're doing the outside of the piston, okay? Not the inside of the piston. The OD side. Outside diameter. So as best I can. All right. So the top one's done. We'll do the bottom side. So you notice that when I did this, the piston is still out and the brakes are out. I didn't spread the brake pads apart. You don't want to, because you spread the brake pad apart, the dirty stuff will actually end up inside and you can't get to it. So you want to keep it apart so that way you can get to the dirtiness. Get to the dirtiness. brush where the springs are real quick as well. So that way the spring stays clear and clean of debris and dirt. So they could work, hopefully work a little better, ideally. Let's see, spray some more spray some more super green. See how clean it is. I'll do one more, and that should be enough, I think. Yeah, so these pistons are stainless steel. It's a magnetic stainless steel. So they stay pretty clean, and they're strong. And when I, again, when I had my Elite, and I replaced the piston, I had over 70,000 miles, almost, I think around 70,000 miles when I replaced them, maybe 75. But the pistons, they still look good. They look almost brand new. There was no pitting, there was nothing serious. They weren't as shiny as the new ones, but they were still good. I think if I actually wash them up really good, they probably would be just as shiny. So I go in there, and I know of almost no one that does this. Almost everyone would just, leave it as is and do whatever, and all of a sudden one day the brakes are not working very well. Then they actually end up rebuilding the calipers altogether and replacing the pistons and the seals and everything. You don't need to do that. Why do the extra work and why spend the extra resources doing something that you don't need to do when this right here is preventative maintenance, right? That's what it is. It's preventative maintenance, so you make everything last longer. Save yourself some cash, some time. So cleaning this is faster than having to do a rebuild. So I don't know. I think I've only seen one person on YouTube, one other person that did this. More recently, in the past year, I saw that video. But almost everyone else, they don't do that. All right, so now I brushed it all clean. Now I have a squirt bottle of water, because right now I'm in the garage, so I don't want to make a mess. That's why I have the bucket here. If I was outside in the driveway, I would just get a garden hose and hose this down. I wouldn't even use a bucket to hold anything. But since I'm in the garage, I'm going to use a squirt bottle of water and just squirt everything. And usually I find that this is enough. The whole caliper doesn't need to be clean. The only thing that needs to be clean is the piston surface, that retraction, where it retracts, that surface, and I'm cleaning up again. I'm cleaning up the springs as well. Still see a little bit of dirtiness here and there, but for the most part, it looks okay. I see a little something right here. Let me see. Maybe that's just actual dirt or what. So this is definitely my way of doing it. Again, you don't necessarily have to do this, but I find that when I do this, I prolong the pistons quite a bit and the brake pads. So a little bit of something that I saw, it's more visual because I can't feel it. So I'm running the flathead screwdriver across that thing on the piston surface. I don't feel nothing. Usually if it's like a pit or whatever, or a glob of gunk, you could feel it, but I didn't feel anything. Feels fine. It's probably just tarnish of the material. Usually that's then when I took off my old piston on the Elite, that's what it was. It was just like tarnish. There wasn't anything serious. Okay. Oh, I see some tarnish right here too, or some of it's like wear mark. How something when something wears on each other and it rubs it and it's not smooth anymore. So that's what it looks like on the edge right here. That's probably from the brake pads. The back of the brake pads on the piston. So I can see that. So I think that's it for this. Now you could basically retract the piston if you want. And you don't really need to, because I didn't change the brake pads. The brake pads are still the same, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Just a little bit, not too much. Actually, you can actually do this with your hands as well. You can actually just push on the pistons. The main thing is that you have to have them so that way they're both even. Okay, that was pretty hard. Okay, that's not gonna work. I have a piston retractor. I have this piston retractor right here. Let me show you that. There's a piston retractor right here. So basically you put this into where the brakes are, and you turn this, and this will actually spread it, so that way it retracts the pistons. And this thing is actually meant for a car, not a motorcycle. Actually, you know what? I think it's meant for like a big motorcycle, like a street bike. Not a car, because this seems kind of small for a car. But anyways, it's kind of oversized for this bike. You see what I did there? Because this is a sliding caliper. So when you have pistons only on one side and not both sides, this caliper will actually slide. So this part right here is the part that moves. So this part right here is the part that moves. This up here doesn't move. This stays stationary. So the stationary part, the part that moves, it goes back and forth like that. So that's how that works. So basically I slid this piece right here towards the middle of the bike, so that way it exposed the pistons a little bit more, so I could reach it a little better and hopefully push it out. I'm gonna put it right in the middle between the two and see if I can push it out just a little bit. I just need it, I just want to push it a few millimeters. That should be more than enough. There it goes. You see the piston retracting a little bit. All right, piston's retracting a little bit, and that should be enough. And actually when I did that, I also, this part right also slid more towards the middle, and that's all you need. So put my tool away, back in the box. All right, let's put this put the pads back in. So this pad was on the left side, so it goes in like so. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I've got to put a drill on these things and spin it with the sandpaper to get the rust off. You see all the rust right there? So let's do that first. Let's do that first. Where's my drill bits? Where's my sandpaper? Here's my sandpaper. I'm using some plumbing sandpaper. My drill. So here's the drill. Alright, that's the drill. Let's open this up. Mount it on here. I'm gonna squeeze it from the thread side. Normally I don't squeeze it from the thread, but I'm gonna put it on really lightly so that it doesn't damage the thread. It doesn't dig into the threads. Just real lightly like that. You see that I didn't even click this thing. Normally you click it, right? I didn't even click it. So here's some sandpaper here. Get this rolling out on this way. Going to a higher speed. Oops. See how easy that came off because I didn't leave it on very tight. So I still see a little bit of a rusting there. It's like, it seems like it's deeper. Let me go a little bit more and see if I can remove any of that. Okay, most of it's gone. Again, it's just mainly surface oxides. You know, rust is a surface oxide. Well, at least if it didn't go in deep, it's a surface oxide. So that's pretty much cleaned up. Oops, my fingers are dirty. So same thing with the other side. Okay, so both sides are clean. I should clean the threads here too. The thread's kind of dirty and kind of oxidized. So I'm gonna get a wire brush, like a little toothbrush size wire brush. See if I have anything like that. I should, but it's a matter of where did I put it. Okay, so I've got a little wire brush in here, stainless steel wire brush. So let's clean off the threads here. So that's also the reason why I do this. I like to work on my own bikes. I make sure everything is very thorough, done properly. If you take this to a shop, a dealership, or whatever, they would never do this. They would never clean up the threads like this. They would never, run your remove all those oxides. That's seems like I could get that one unless I use some type of maybe simple green or something like that and go in there and gunk it out, but I don't think I need to do that. Ooh, wind is picking up. Seems like this one's a little bit dirtier than the other one. I'm not sure if this was the top or the bottom piece. The thread on here is not cleaning off as easy as the previous one. In a minute, I'm gonna, once I've done this, put the pads back in. I will anti-seize these. Okay, so that's done. Let's put the pads back in. Oh. You notice I didn't do anything with the pads, right? I left them as is. I don't think you need to really do anything with the pads. Okay. So put the piston side in first. It's like so. And you want to have this in here so that way it feeds through and it holds the pads in place. Actually, let me I still have liquid because it's sitting, the piston is sitting up like this, so the liquid's down underneath. Let me angle it so that way I can drain out the piston for this for that water and the water and the zipper green. Flush it out basically. Okay, looks like it's cleared out. The water was kind of dirty in there too. It's kind of dirty in there. Okay, it's still wet, but it doesn't matter. It's just water. All right, so got my pin in here. And now that this surface here is clean, not rusty, the pads could easily slide in there. Because before, as it gets rusty, it becomes less smooth. So there's actually friction there, and it could cause the pads to get hung up. Right, so it would have a harder time sliding back out, or opening back up again. So I'm gonna stick this through. See the pin coming through, right? So I'm gonna have that. So I have to push the brake pads in a little bit pushing it against the spring, the brake pad springs. Oops, it's not in yet. Where's it at? I see you right there. There it goes. Okay, so it's in on one side. So that was the top side. I'm gonna do the bottom side. And push the brake pads in. Push it in so that way you could free up the tension on the pad bolts. So it's this side. Stick this in. Same thing. And push the top first, so I could push the pin on top first, and I'll do the bottom. Push the pin on the bottom. Oops, did I get in? Okay, that's in. That's in. So remember when I retracted the piston a little bit, now the gap here is bigger, so that's good. That makes it easier to put the wheels back in. All right, so I'm good there. I'll tighten this up, but before I do that, I'm actually gonna put some thread, anti-seize on these two threads here. Just a little bit. You don't need a whole lot, A little bit goes a long ways. Especially anti-seize, man, this stuff gets everywhere. And it doesn't come off, it doesn't wipe off very easy. If you ever use anti-seize, you know that it doesn't wipe off very easy. It's almost like, sticks on almost like paint almost. It's not that bad, but it doesn't come off easy. Side, maybe I should have done this while I was still off the caliper. Probably would have been better to do this while I was still off the caliper. It's all right. Just a little bit there, a little bit here. My little flathead. Let me use my little flathead and spread it out. So I'm using the flathead right here and spread the glob of anti-seize out a little bit better, a little more evenly. Okay, I can turn it back in. almost in there. Start tightening it up. Don't tighten it too much. You know, I'm holding. Look at the handle on my wrench here. I'm not holding it down here. That's too much leverage. I'm holding it right here at the head. You know, this is only 5mm Allens, so it doesn't need that much torque. That's it. That's good. So obviously there's still globs of anti-seize there. That's perfect, because when you put this grub screws on, it will get on the grub screws and it's perfect. You don't have to worry about it. So that way the anti-seize get on the grub screw and the grub screw could come on and off easy as well. Because like I mentioned when I was taking this off, I had one point where the grub screw was almost seized in there. I had to actually take a hammer and whack this grub screw, the top of the grub screw, to break it loose, to impact the thread to break it loose. So remember, this is just flathead, so I'll tighten it up a little bit. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, so that's how you prep the you prep your brakes for reinstalling, before you reinstall the wheels. Yeah, I believe that's it. So at least that's it for that portion of it.